on News 3 New Mexico. North Korea has cut off a military hotline with South Korea, and hundreds of people could be stranded in the north. Plus, a new study says health insurance companies may have to increase their prices for some Americans.
And we've got the latest in sports with our sportscaster Jay Suai and all your weather updates from our very own Kristen Garcia. Today is Wednesday, March 27th, and News 3 New Mexico begins right now.
Serving eastern New Mexico and the surrounding region, this is News 3 New Mexico, your local source for news, sports, and first weather.
Good evening, I'm Amethyst Collins.
And I'm Eliana Goni. North Korea has once again cut a military hotline to the south, and it is not clear what it will mean for the hundreds of South Korean workers who are at an industrial complex in the north. The hotline has been essential in operating the complex. South Korean officials say about 750 South Koreans were there today. The last time the hotline was cut in 2009, many South Koreans were stranded in the north. New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez has signed legislation into law to help New Mexico veterans and their families who are seeking to work in New Mexico. The legislation will expedite the handling of occupational licenses from other states into New Mexico to allow the military members and their spouses find work here. The law will cover a broad range of licensed occupations such as barbers, architects, and veterinarians, as well as healthcare providers.
Today, the United States Supreme Court justices are hearing more arguments on a Federal Defense of Marriage Act provision. This provision keeps married gay Americans from getting the same federal benefits that other married couples get. Lower federal courts have struck down the measure. Demonstrators today are mostly gay marriage supporters holding American and rainbow flags. It seems to be warming up outside our News 3 New Mexico station here in Portales. Let's check in with our weatherwoman, Kristen Garcia, and see what we can expect in the days to come. Kristen?
Great news! Warmer days are ahead of us, and for those of you who have been waiting to wear that new pair of shorts, it looks like it's now warm enough to do so. Today was mainly sunny with afternoon clouds it looks like it will continue to stay that way for the days to come. Let's take a look now at our current temperatures for the Midwestern part of the state. We have Santa Fe at 67, Albuquerque and Grants are at 68, Socorro is at 75, Riados is at 63, and Las Cruces is at 73 degrees. For tonight's lows, Santa Fe is at 35 degrees, Albuquerque is at 45, Socorro is at 41, TRC is at 46, and Las Cruces is at 47. For tomorrow's highs, Santa Fe is at 64, Albuquerque is at 72, Socorro is at 75, TRC and Las Cruces are at 74. That's your first look at News 3 New Mexico weather. Now back to the news desk.
Thank you, Kristen. The head of the Texas Senate Education Committee, Senator Dan Patrick, says the chamber will debate his proposal to overhaul high school graduation requirements. His measure would create an 8th grade career exploratory course to help students choose the classes they want to take in high school. The House passed a separate bill with a similar intent after lengthy debate Tuesday.
Concern about Cyprus and other nations in the Eurozone is weighing down U.S. stock market futures. Cyprus is making plans for reopening its banks after a nearly 2-week shutdown. Investors are waiting for data on pending U.S. home sales for February. In Europe, major indexes fell after worries that the bail-in for Cyprus could be considered a model if other countries falter. Well, when it comes to local college sports, last week was a successful one for the Eastern New Mexico Zias. Let's find out all the details from our News 3 New Mexico sportscaster, Jay Suai. Jay?
What up, sports fans, and welcome to First Sports. I'm Jay Suai for News 3 New Mexico. In local sports, the Zias won 4 of their last 6 games, with 3 wins against conference opponents. A major contributing factor is the play of their sophomore pitcher, Alberto Medina. The Lone Star Conference recognized Medina Tuesday as the LSC Pitcher of the Week. She limited Oklahoma Panhandle State and Incarnate Word to a 186 batting average while batting at 400 on the week. In the final game against the Cardinals, Medina went 4 for 5 with 3 doubles and 5 RBIs, matching the Zia's single-game record for doubles. The Zias take on Texas Women's University Thursday evening in Texas. First pitch is 4 p.m. Mountain Time. That's all for First Sports. Back to the news desk.
Thanks, Jay. A new study says insurance companies will have to pay out an average of 32% more for medical claims on individual health policies under healthcare overhaul. That could increase premiums for at least some Americans who do not have an employer plan, but the Obama administration is questioning the study, saying it is ignoring subsidies and other cost relief in the law.
In the past week in Springfield, Missouri stores, police have been contacted in 10 cases involving counterfeit cash. Thieves used denominations ranging from $5 to $100 at fast food restaurants and convenience stores. Mary Maloney has the details.
The sounds of the busy bistro market are familiar to Wesley McBee. who does.
A little bit of everything. Check, produce, receiving, deliveries, whatever needs to be done.
And
Cashier.
he takes food stamps, debit cards, and of course, cash. Although he makes sure every item is scanned and bagged, McBee says he doesn't check for bogus bills.
Pretty much take them on the word, I guess.
Throughout the year, the Secret Service sees spikes in counterfeit cash. Typically, the funny money peaks around the holidays. But occasionally, sham dollars show up during other times of the year. To combat the counterfeiters, places like Mosley Office Supplies sell tools to mark fakes.
We sell primarily to banks and financial institutions, credit unions, and what it does is if you grab a $100 bill, you take the marker, you put an X on the bill. If it shows up yellow, it's a real bill. If it shows up black, it's a counterfeit. Around $3, you can feel safe that you've saved yourself from taking a $100 counterfeit bill.
You mark your bills with it and then changes color if it's not real.
Do you use it?
No.
Agents warn, if it's a real bill made to look like a different dollar, the pens won't work.
I've gotten $1 bills that have been bleached and larger bills printed on top before. They tried to use it, but someone ended up actually in the tip jar, so we just turned it into the bank.
While the money was fake, this manager laughs off the attempt. Even if it was, money lost.
Still didn't get the tip.
Coming up on News 3 New Mexico, is radiation putting workers at a health risk?
Also, what excuses do we find to not exercise on a regular basis, even though physicians recommend us to do otherwise? Stay tuned to News 3 New Mexico for those stories and much more tonight.
Coming up right after the break, spring is trying to bump winter out, but we'll take a look at a few snow showers that are still hitting the northeastern part of the country. Plus, we'll look at local and regional weather, so stay tuned to News 3 New Mexico. We'll be right back.
The latest statewide news from News 3 New Mexico.
Regular physical activity can lower your risk of so many health issues such as heart disease, diabetes, and depression. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says a combination of muscle strengthening exercises and aerobics is ideal, but sometimes we still tend to find excuses to avoid exercising. Holly Furfer has more in today's Health Minute.
Works out 5 days a week now that her 4 children are in school. But 9 years ago, that certainly wasn't the case.
I didn't have energy to keep up with my kids.
She learned that regular physical activity actually energized her. Now Jennifer treats her workouts like any other appointment. But this busy mom says it used to be easy to find an excuse not to break a sweat. Sound familiar? Well, here are a few ways to change your thinking.
I'm too tired from work.
Exercising in the morning is a great option for somebody that is going to get home and be too tired from work. Gets it out of the way early and you're done for the day.
What about blaming it on Mother Nature?
It's too hot outside or sometimes too cold outside.
You don't have to go anywhere. You can use an exercise DVD. You can get dumbbells or resistance ball to use at home.
And what some may consider the old standby.
I just don't have time.
Try to schedule your workout in your phone or in your planner. It's just as important as a doctor's appointment.
For Jennifer, this approach has worked.
I have a lot more energy than I ever did.
Energy to use with her family. For today's Health Minute, I'm Holly Furfer.
The head of the Federal Emergency Management Agency says people who buy federal flood insurance need to plan for big rate hikes. According to the agency, people who now pay hundreds of dollars a year could wind up paying thousands. According to the FEMA director, Congress says the program must at least pay for itself, and the increases will be phased in over to 3 to 4 years ago.
Border Patrol agents seized more than 3 tons of marijuana after finding the drug in a convoy of vehicles in southwestern New Mexico near the U.S.-Mexico border. Agents used spike strips to disable and stop 4 of the 5 vehicles traveling together, but the 5th did get away. People in the 4 vehicles ran off, but agents apprehended 4 people. Radon has been detected in part of a nearly 80-year-old state office building in Santa Fe. Attorney General Gary King said Tuesday that workers in his agency temporarily will not use a section of the Villagra building, which was built as a New Deal project during the Great Depression. The Environmental Protection Agency says radon exposure can cause lung cancer.
New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez has signed legislation to help people with mental health problems receive evaluations and assistance in New Mexico. The measure gives mental health specialists and certified nurse practitioners the ability to evaluate a person who poses a likelihood of serious harm to themselves or others. Currently, only a physician or a clinical psychologist can make the determination.
Coming up in News 3 New Mexico Sports, Blackwater Draw hosts its annual Green and Silver football game. Some more coverage on the March Madness matchups, and Cowboy Stadium gets a makeover. Stay tuned, I'll have all that and more for you right after the break.
So happy today. It was so sunny here in Portales. I just wish I could have spent the whole day outside.
Me too. There really is no reason to not get out there and soak up some vitamin D.
Oh, yeah.
Let's turn it over to Kristen Garcia for a final look at weather. Kristen?
There is no doubt that today was beautiful. Taking a look right here outside our News 3 New Mexico station in Portales, the current temperature is 72 degrees. With the wind at 13 miles per hour, the barometric pressure is at 29.99, relative humidity is at 10%. Tomorrow's high is 80 degrees with a low of 37. It's going to be a very sunny day. Friday, it looks partly cloudy with a high of 77 degrees and a low of 42 degrees. And Saturday, the high will be 78 with a low of 48 degrees. And that's a look at your final weather. I'm Kristen Garcia. Now back to the news desk.
Thanks, Kristen. Well, that's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you for joining us here at News 3 New Mexico. I'm Amethyst Collins.
And I'm Eliana Goni. From all of us here at News 3 New Mexico, have a great evening.